Jessica Martinez had always been the kind of person who followed orders without question. Growing up in a small town in Ohio, she'd learned early that hard work and respect for authority were the keys to success. When she enlisted in the Army at 18, she carried those values with her through basic training and into her assignment at Fort Braxton, a classified facility that most people had never heard of. At 26, Jessica was a staff sergeant with an impeccable record. She'd served 2 tours overseas, earned commendations for her work in communications, and had recently been assigned to the most secure section of the base. Her job was straightforward: monitor classified communications traffic and ensure proper protocol was followed. It wasn't glamorous work, but Jessica took pride in doing it well. The trouble started with Colonel Richard Hayes, a man who seemed to believe that his rank gave him the right to treat subordinates however he pleased. Hayes had been at Fort Braxton for 3 years, and in that time, he'd developed a reputation for being particularly harsh with female soldiers. Jessica had heard the whispers in the mess hall, the stories of other women who'd been passed over for promotions or given impossible assignments after crossing paths with the colonel. Jessica's first real encounter with Hayes came during a routine briefing. She'd been selected to present the weekly communications report to the senior staff, something she'd done dozens of times before. As she stood at the front of the room, carefully going through the encrypted message logs and security protocols, Hayes interrupted her mid-sentence. "Sergeant Martinez," he said, his voice dripping with condescension, "perhaps you could speak up. Some of us can't hear your little girl voice from back here." The room fell silent. Jessica felt her face flush, but she maintained her composure and continued the briefing. When she finished, Hayes made another comment about whether she was really qualified to be handling such sensitive information. Jessica bit her tongue and returned to her station, but something had shifted inside her. Over the following weeks, Hayes seemed to single her out at every opportunity. He questioned her reports, assigned her additional duties that kept her working late into the night, and made snide comments about her appearance and capabilities in front of other soldiers. Jessica documented everything, keeping detailed notes of each incident, but she wasn't sure what to do with the information. The situation escalated when Jessica discovered that Hayes had been inappropriately accessing classified files outside his clearance level. During a routine audit of the communication logs, she noticed a pattern of unauthorized access attempts from Hayes' terminal. The files he was trying to access contained information about nuclear weapons protocols, something far above his security clearance. Jessica faced a dilemma. Reporting a superior officer was serious business, especially when that officer had been making her life difficult. But she also knew that unauthorized access to nuclear protocols was a matter of national security. She spent sleepless nights weighing her options, knowing that whatever she decided would change everything. The decision was made for her when she overheard Hayes talking to another officer about teaching that little Martinez girl a lesson she won't forget. The threat was clear, and Jessica knew she had to act. She compiled her evidence and requested a meeting with General Patricia Williams, the base commander. General Williams was a legend in the Army, a woman who'd broken through barriers and earned respect through decades of exemplary service. When Jessica was escorted into her office, she felt both nervous and hopeful. The general's reputation for fairness and integrity was well known throughout the military. "Sergeant Martinez," General Williams said, gesturing to a chair across from her desk, "I understand you have some concerns about Colonel Hayes." Jessica had prepared for this moment, organizing her evidence and rehearsing her words. She presented her case methodically, showing the general her documentation of Hayes' harassment, and more importantly, the evidence of his unauthorized access attempts to classified nuclear protocols. General Williams listened intently, her expression growing more serious as Jessica revealed the extent of Hayes' misconduct. When Jessica finished, the general leaned back in her chair and studied the young sergeant for a long moment. "These are serious allegations, Sergeant," she said finally. "The harassment is unacceptable, but the security breach you've uncovered is potentially catastrophic. You've done the right thing by bringing this to my attention." What happened next would change Jessica's life forever. General Williams explained that Hayes' unauthorized access attempts had triggered a security investigation that was already underway. Jessica's evidence had provided the missing pieces of a puzzle that military intelligence had been working on for weeks. "I'm going to ask something of you, Sergeant," the general said, her voice taking on a tone of utmost seriousness. "What I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest levels. Colonel Hayes isn't just accessing files randomly. We believe he's been compromised by foreign agents and is attempting to sell nuclear weapons information." Jessica felt the blood drain from her face. The harassment she'd endured suddenly seemed insignificant compared to the magnitude of what Hayes was apparently planning. General Williams continued, explaining that they needed someone on the inside to help gather evidence of Hayes' treasonous activities. "I need someone I can trust completely," the general said. "Someone who has legitimate access to the communication systems and can monitor Hayes' activities without arousing suspicion. Your record is impeccable, Sergeant, and you've already shown tremendous courage in coming forward." Jessica nodded, understanding the weight of what was being asked of her. She would essentially become an undercover agent, working to expose a traitor while maintaining her regular duties. The risk was enormous, but so was the potential threat to national security. General Williams reached into her desk drawer and pulled out a small device that looked like a standard military communication tablet. This contains temporary access codes to monitor Hayes' communications, she explained. Only 3 people on this base have these codes: myself, the head of military intelligence, and now you. Jessica took the device with trembling hands, realizing that she was holding some of the most sensitive information in the entire military. The general's trust in her was both flattering and terrifying. The next few days passed in a blur of nervous energy and heightened awareness. Jessica went about her regular duties while secretly monitoring Hayes' activities through the special device General Williams had given her. She watched as Hayes made increasingly desperate attempts to access nuclear protocols, each failed attempt being carefully documented. The breakthrough came when Jessica intercepted a coded message that Hayes was trying to send through an encrypted channel. Using the advanced decryption software on her device, she was able to reveal that Hayes was indeed communicating with foreign agents, promising to deliver classified nuclear information in exchange for a substantial payment. Jessica immediately reported her findings to General Williams, who praised her work and assured her that the investigation was nearing its conclusion. But Hayes seemed to sense that something was wrong. He began watching Jessica more closely, making comments about her improved access to certain systems and questioning why she was working such long hours. The situation became dangerous when Hayes cornered Jessica in the communications room one evening. "I know you're up to something, Martinez," he said, his voice threatening. "You think you're clever, but I've been watching you. Whatever game you're playing, it ends now." Jessica maintained her composure, but she could feel her heart racing. Hayes moved closer, his intentions clearly hostile, but before he could act, the door burst open and military police entered the room. "Colonel Hayes," one of the officers announced, "you're under arrest for treason, attempted theft of classified information, and violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice." Hayes' face went white as he realized he'd been caught. As the military police led him away, he looked back at Jessica with a mixture of hatred and disbelief. "You little nobody," he spat. "You have no idea what you've done." But Jessica knew exactly what she'd done. She'd helped prevent a catastrophic security breach and brought a traitor to justice. General Williams appeared in the doorway as Hayes was being led away, her expression one of pride and satisfaction. "Outstanding work, Sergeant," she said. "Your actions have prevented what could have been one of the most devastating security breaches in military history." Jessica felt a wave of relief wash over her. The nightmare was over, and she'd emerged not as a victim of Hayes' harassment, but as a hero who'd helped protect her country's most sensitive secrets. The aftermath of Hayes' arrest brought unexpected changes to Jessica's life. The investigation revealed that Hayes had been part of a larger network of compromised military personnel, and Jessica's evidence had helped expose several other traitors. Her role in the operation remained classified, but within the military intelligence community, she'd earned a reputation as someone who could be trusted with the most sensitive assignments. General Williams called Jessica into her office a week after Hayes' arrest. "I have a proposition for you, Sergeant," she said. "Your performance during this operation has been exemplary. I'm recommending you for immediate promotion to staff sergeant and transfer to a specialized unit that handles counterintelligence operations." Jessica was stunned. She joined the Army as a simple communications specialist, never imagining that she'd become involved in anything so significant. The promotion was welcome, but the transfer represented a complete career change. "I need to know that you're committed to this path," General Williams continued. "Counterintelligence work is demanding and dangerous. You'll be dealing with threats to national security on a regular basis, and you'll need to be prepared for anything." Jessica thought about everything she'd been through with Hayes, the harassment she'd endured, and the courage she'd found to fight back. She realized that she'd discovered something about herself during the ordeal. She was capable of much more than she'd ever imagined. "I accept, General," she said without hesitation. "I want to continue serving my country in whatever capacity you think I'm best suited for." General Williams smiled, a rare expression of warmth crossing her usually stern features. "I had a feeling you'd say that. There's something else I need to discuss with you, something that will require the highest level of security clearance." Jessica listened as the general explained that her new assignment would involve monitoring potential security threats at military installations around the world. She would be part of a small, elite team tasked with preventing the kind of security breach that Hayes had attempted. "Your cover story will be that you're being transferred to a routine communications position," General Williams explained. "In reality, you'll be our eyes and ears, watching for any signs of compromised personnel or security vulnerabilities." The weight of the responsibility was enormous, but Jessica felt ready for the challenge. She'd proven to herself that she could handle pressure and make difficult decisions when necessary. The scared young woman who'd been intimidated by Hayes' harassment had been replaced by someone stronger and more confident. General Williams handed Jessica a new set of orders and a security badge with a clearance level she'd never seen before. "Welcome to the big leagues, Sergeant," she said. "Your country is lucky to have soldiers like you." Jessica's new assignment took her to installations across the globe, from classified facilities in the Nevada desert to secure communications centers in allied countries. She worked under deep cover, her true mission known only to a select few high-ranking officials. To her colleagues, she was simply another communications specialist doing routine work. The skills she developed during the Hayes investigation served her well in her new role. She learned to read people, to spot the subtle signs that might indicate someone was compromised or acting suspiciously. She became an expert at gathering intelligence without arousing suspicion, using her technical knowledge and interpersonal skills to build trust with potential sources. Her first major success came at a NATO facility in Germany, where she uncovered a security breach that had been ongoing for months. A junior officer had been selling routine information to foreign agents, thinking it was harmless. Jessica's investigation revealed that the seemingly innocent data was being used to map the facility's security protocols. The case was handled quietly, with the compromised officer being transferred and the security breach sealed. Jessica received a commendation for her work, though the details remained classified. She was beginning to understand that much of her success would go unrecognized publicly, but she found satisfaction in knowing that her work was making a difference. As her reputation grew within the intelligence community, Jessica began receiving more sensitive assignments. She was tasked with investigating potential security threats at facilities involved in nuclear weapons maintenance, space defense systems, and other critical military operations. Each assignment brought new challenges and dangers. Jessica learned to adapt to different cultures and languages, to blend into various military environments, and to maintain her cover even under intense scrutiny. She developed a network of contacts and informants, people who trusted her enough to share information that could be vital to national security. The work was isolating at times. Jessica couldn't discuss her real job with friends or family, and she often had to maintain false identities for extended periods. But she found purpose in knowing that her efforts were helping to protect the country she'd sworn to serve. One assignment brought her back to Fort Braxton, where the Hayes investigation had begun. Walking through the familiar corridors, Jessica reflected on how much her life had changed. She was no longer the uncertain young sergeant who'd been intimidated by a bullying superior. She'd become a skilled intelligence operative, trusted with some of the military's most sensitive operations. The irony wasn't lost on her that Hayes' harassment had ultimately led to her discovering her true calling. His attempts to undermine her had instead revealed her strength and capability, opening doors to opportunities she'd never imagined possible. Jessica's most significant assignment came 3 years after the Hayes incident, when she was selected for a special operation involving nuclear security protocols. The mission was so classified that even her handler could only provide limited details initially. She was briefed by a panel of generals and intelligence officials in a secure facility outside Washington, D.C. The operation, codenamed Sentinel Watch, involved monitoring a suspected network of foreign agents who were attempting to infiltrate military facilities involved in nuclear weapons systems. This is our highest priority operation, General Williams explained during the briefing. The potential threat to national security is unprecedented. We need our best people on this, and you're at the top of that list. Jessica learned that the enemy network was more sophisticated than anything she'd encountered before. They were using advanced technology and had potentially compromised personnel at multiple military installations. The operation would require her to work with agents from other branches of the military and various intelligence agencies. Her cover identity for the operation was that of a systems analyst conducting routine upgrades to communication equipment at various nuclear facilities. The cover was perfect because it would give her legitimate access to the most sensitive areas while appearing to be doing mundane technical work. The first phase of the operation took Jessica to a missile defense facility in Montana, where intelligence suggested that foreign agents were attempting to map the base's communication systems. She spent weeks establishing her cover, building relationships with base personnel, and carefully observing daily operations. The breakthrough came when she noticed unusual patterns in the network traffic that suggested someone was copying and transmitting classified data. Using skills she'd honed over years of undercover work, Jessica identified the source, a contractor who had been working on the base for over a year. The contractor, David Chen, appeared to be a model employee with proper security clearance and an exemplary record. But Jessica's investigation revealed that he was using his access to photograph classified documents and transmit them to handlers outside the country. Rather than immediately expose Chen, Jessica received orders to monitor his activities and gather evidence about his network. This phase of the operation was the most dangerous yet, requiring her to get close to Chen without arousing suspicion. Jessica began working closely with Chen on various technical projects, carefully documenting his methods and identifying his contacts. She discovered that Chen was part of a larger network that included compromised personnel at multiple military installations, all coordinating their activities through encrypted communications. The operation culminated when Jessica gathered enough evidence to expose the entire network. The simultaneous arrests of 12 compromised personnel across 6 military installations dealt a devastating blow to foreign intelligence operations against U.S. nuclear facilities. The success of Operation Sentinel Watch brought Jessica to the attention of the highest levels of military leadership. She was summoned to the Pentagon for a private meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, where she was briefed on her next assignment. Sergeant Martinez, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, began, "Your work over the past few years has been extraordinary. You've prevented multiple security breaches and helped protect some of our most sensitive operations." Jessica listened as the assembled generals outlined a new position they were offering her, a permanent assignment to a special unit tasked with protecting nuclear weapons security. The position would come with a promotion to warrant officer and access to the highest levels of classified information. This unit operates directly under the authority of the Secretary of Defense, General Williams explained. You would be one of only a dozen people in the entire military with this level of access and responsibility. The weight of the offer was staggering. Jessica would essentially become one of the military's most trusted guardians of nuclear security, responsible for preventing the kind of catastrophic breaches that could threaten global stability. "I need to know that you understand the magnitude of what we're asking," the chairman continued. "This isn't just about your career anymore. You would be entrusted with information that could affect the fate of nations." Jessica thought about her journey from a small-town girl who joined the army seeking direction to a seasoned intelligence operative, trusted with the nation's most sensitive secrets. The scared sergeant who'd been intimidated by Colonel Hayes seemed like a different person entirely. "I understand, sir," she replied. "I'm ready to serve in whatever capacity you think best." The chairman smiled and reached into a secure briefcase, pulling out a small device that looked similar to the one General Williams had given her years earlier. "This contains the access codes for our most classified nuclear security protocols," he explained. "Only a handful of people in the entire government have these codes." As Jessica took the device, she realized that she was holding the keys to the nation's nuclear arsenal. The responsibility was overwhelming, but she felt ready for the challenge. Her experiences with Hayes and the subsequent years of undercover work had prepared her for this moment. "Welcome to the most exclusive club in the military, Warrant Officer Martinez," General Williams said with pride. "You've earned this through courage, dedication, and exceptional service to your country." Jessica looked around the room at the assembled generals, realizing that she was now part of the most elite group in the military. The harassment she'd endured from Hayes had ultimately led her to this moment, where she was being entrusted with the nation's most sensitive secrets. Jessica's new role as a nuclear security specialist brought responsibilities she'd never imagined. She was assigned to a classified facility outside Colorado Springs, where she worked with a small team of the military's most trusted personnel to monitor threats to nuclear weapons security. Her daily routine involved analyzing intelligence reports from around the world, coordinating with various agencies to track potential threats, and overseeing security protocols at nuclear facilities. The work was demanding but fulfilling, knowing that she was playing a crucial role in maintaining global stability. One of her first major assignments involved investigating reports of a potential security breach at a nuclear weapons storage facility in New Mexico. Intelligence suggested that foreign agents were attempting to gather information about the facility's security systems and storage protocols. Jessica led a team of specialists to conduct a comprehensive security assessment, using her years of undercover experience to identify potential vulnerabilities. The investigation revealed that while there was no active breach, the facility's security protocols needed significant upgrades to meet current threat levels. Her recommendations led to a complete overhaul of the facility's security systems, incorporating lessons learned from her previous operations. The success of the project enhanced her reputation within the nuclear security community and led to additional assignments at facilities around the world. As Jessica's expertise grew, she began developing new protocols for protecting nuclear assets from increasingly sophisticated threats. Her work contributed to policy changes that strengthened security at military installations globally, making it much harder for foreign agents to compromise sensitive operations. The irony of her situation wasn't lost on Jessica. Colonel Hayes had tried to destroy her career through harassment and intimidation, but his actions had ultimately led to her discovering her true potential. His attempt to access nuclear protocols illegally had put her on a path to becoming one of the military's most trusted protectors of those same protocols. Jessica often reflected on how different her life might have been if she hadn't found the courage to report Hayes' misconduct. She might have remained a routine communications specialist, never discovering her talent for intelligence work or her capacity for handling the most sensitive responsibilities. The transformation from victim to guardian had been gradual but profound. Each challenge she'd faced, from Hayes' harassment to the dangerous undercover operations, had built her confidence and skills. She'd learned that she was capable of far more than she'd ever imagined, and the military had taken notice. Her success had also opened doors for other women in the military, though she couldn't discuss the details of her work publicly. General Williams often mentioned Jessica as an example of how talent and determination could overcome even the most challenging circumstances. 5 years after the Hayes incident, Jessica received an unexpected assignment that would test all of her skills and experience. Intelligence agencies had uncovered evidence of a sophisticated plot to steal nuclear weapons technology, involving a network of foreign agents and compromised military personnel. The operation, codenamed Phoenix Rising, was the largest counterintelligence effort in decades. Jessica was selected to lead a team of specialists tasked with infiltrating the network and gathering evidence of their activities. The mission required her to assume a deep cover identity as a nuclear systems engineer, a role that would give her access to the most sensitive areas of several military installations. The cover was so complete that she underwent months of additional training to convincingly portray someone with advanced technical expertise. Jessica's team included specialists from various agencies, each bringing unique skills to the operation. Working together, they systematically identified and monitored the members of the foreign network, building a comprehensive picture of their operations. The investigation revealed that the network was far more extensive than initially suspected, involving compromised personnel at nuclear facilities, defense contractors, and even some government agencies. The potential damage if they had succeeded in their mission would have been catastrophic. Jessica's leadership during the operation was exemplary. She coordinated the activities of dozens of agents, analyzed vast amounts of intelligence data, and made critical decisions that kept the operation on track. Her experience with previous counterintelligence operations proved invaluable in navigating the complex challenges of the mission. The operation culminated in simultaneous raids across multiple states, resulting in the arrest of 37 individuals involved in the network. The evidence gathered by Jessica's team revealed the full scope of the plot and prevented what could have been the most devastating security breach in U.S. history. The success of Phoenix Rising brought Jessica to the attention of the highest levels of government. She was personally commended by the Secretary of Defense and received the Distinguished Service Medal, one of the military's highest honors. More importantly, the operation established Jessica as one of the military's leading experts on nuclear security threats. Her insights and recommendations became integral to national security policy, and she was frequently consulted on matters involving the protection of nuclear assets. The young sergeant who had been intimidated by Colonel Hayes' harassment had become one of the most trusted and capable officers in the military. Her journey from victim to guardian was complete, but her service to her country was just beginning. Jessica's reputation as a nuclear security expert led to her selection for an unprecedented assignment, serving as a liaison between the military and civilian agencies responsible for nuclear security. The position required her to work with the Department of Energy, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and various intelligence agencies. The role represented the pinnacle of her career, giving her influence over nuclear security policy at the highest levels of government. She was regularly briefed on threats to nuclear facilities, both military and civilian, and her recommendations shaped how the country protected its nuclear assets. One of her most significant contributions was developing new protocols for sharing intelligence between military and civilian agencies. Her experience with counterintelligence operations had shown her how important it was for different organizations to coordinate their efforts effectively. Jessica's work led to the creation of integrated response teams that could quickly address threats to nuclear facilities regardless of whether they were military or civilian installations. These teams combined the expertise of military personnel, civilian security specialists, and intelligence operatives. The new protocols were tested during a simulated crisis exercise, where Jessica played a key role in coordinating the response to a hypothetical attack on a nuclear power plant. The exercise revealed some weaknesses in existing procedures, leading to further improvements in security protocols. Jessica's success in the liaison role earned her another promotion, this time to the rank of major. At 32, she was one of the youngest officers ever to reach such a senior position in nuclear security, a testament to her exceptional skills and dedication. Her promotion ceremony was attended by General Williams, who had been her mentor throughout her career. I remember the nervous young sergeant who came to my office with evidence of Colonel Hayes' misconduct, the general said during the ceremony. Look at what she's accomplished through courage and determination. Jessica's story had become legendary within the military, though the details remained classified. She was often cited as an example of how the military could identify and develop exceptional talent, even in the most unlikely circumstances. The harassment she'd endured from Hayes had ultimately led to her discovering her true potential. What had been intended to destroy her career had instead launched her on a path to becoming one of the most trusted guardians of national security. As Jessica looked back on her journey, she realized that every challenge she'd faced had made her stronger and more capable. The scared young woman who'd been intimidated by a bullying superior had become a confident leader trusted with the nation's most sensitive responsibilities. Her transformation was complete, but her service to her country continued. She was now in a position to help other young service members who might face similar challenges, ensuring that talent and dedication were recognized and rewarded regardless of the obstacles they might encounter. Jessica's final assignment brought her full circle, returning her to Fort Braxton as the new commander of the facility's security operations. The position gave her responsibility for protecting one of the military's most sensitive installations, the same place where her extraordinary career had begun. Walking through the corridors where she'd once been harassed by Colonel Hayes, Jessica marveled at how much had changed. She was now in charge of the very systems that Hayes had tried to compromise, a poetic justice that wasn't lost on her. Her first priority was implementing the security protocols she developed during her years of counterintelligence work. Fort Braxton became a model facility, with security measures that were studied and adopted by military installations worldwide. Jessica's leadership style was markedly different from Hayes' approach. She treated all personnel with respect and dignity, creating an environment where people felt valued and motivated to do their best work. Her door was always open to soldiers who had concerns or suggestions, and she took every report seriously. The transformation of Fort Braxton's culture was remarkable. Morale improved significantly, and the facility became known for its exemplary security record and positive working environment. Jessica's leadership was recognized throughout the military as a model for how to effectively manage sensitive operations. During her tenure at Fort Braxton, Jessica also became involved in mentoring young soldiers, particularly women who were facing challenges in their military careers. She couldn't discuss the details of her own experiences due to security classifications, but she could offer guidance and support to those who needed it. One young soldier, Private Amy Thompson, came to Jessica with reports of harassment from a senior NCO. The situation was eerily similar to Jessica's own experience with Hayes, and she was determined to ensure that Thompson received the support she needed. Jessica handled the situation with the same thoroughness she'd brought to her counterintelligence work. She documented the incidents, gathered evidence, and built a case that led to the NCO's removal from his position. Thompson was able to continue her career without further harassment. The incident reinforced Jessica's belief that her experiences with Hayes, while painful at the time, had ultimately prepared her to help others facing similar challenges. Her journey from victim to guardian had given her the skills and perspective needed to protect both national security and the welfare of the soldiers under her command. As Jessica's time at Fort Braxton drew to a close, she reflected on the remarkable transformation her life had undergone. The scared young sergeant who'd been intimidated by Colonel Hayes had become a confident leader trusted with the nation's most sensitive responsibilities. Her story was a testament to the power of perseverance and the importance of standing up for what's right, even when the odds seem insurmountable. The harassment she'd endured had ultimately led to her discovering her true potential and finding her calling as a guardian of national security. Jessica's legacy at Fort Braxton would endure long after her departure, in the improved security protocols, the positive culture she'd created, and the young soldiers she'd mentored. Her transformation from victim to guardian was complete, but her impact on the military and her country would continue for years to come.